Hi kid, and welcome to the special True Life edition of KidTime StoryTime.
Hey, storyteller.
Hey Green Bear.
I wrote a song inspired by today's story.
You did?
Yeah, wanna hear about it?
Oh, well.
Here goes. Hey, wait, Red. I'm here. Hit it. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's Molly by Golly. She's a firefighter. It's Molly by Golly. She makes the world much brighter.
Thank you. I accept tips and cheese.
Well, even though we were really amazing, we are not the stars of today's KidTime StoryTime. No, that star is our muse, our inspiration, Molly by Golly.
Thank you, Green Bear. Right, Rad, for that inspired rendition of some song. Molly by Golly, the legend of Molly Williams, America's first female firefighter. And I got a chance to speak with Dianne Ochiltree.
What? You spoke with the author?
Yeah, she is super cool.
Oh my gosh, you get to speak to all the famous people.
Well, you know, she was very excited that we were going to read for KidTime StoryTime.
Yeah, should she ask about me?
Totally.
I knew it.
And she was very excited, kid, that we were going to read the story to you because she was super excited when she discovered the true life story of this Molly right here. There she is. There she's walking along carrying a big basket of stuff. Maybe it's food. Maybe it's laundry. She's a hardworking woman, and she's on her way to Oceana's Company 11 of the New York Fire Department. Our story begins at a big table loaded with what appears to be quite delicious food offerings. Our Molly is as fine a cook as any in New York City, the lads of Fire Company number 11 like to boast. In fact, she's wondrous fine. Molly's hasty pudding is the tastiest, the captain always said. Now, sir, it's her chicken roly-poly makes a man's mouth water. Ah, hot apple tansy is Molly's most delicious dish, Jonas was sure to insist. The argument would go round the Fire Company table until the very last bit of venison stew or codfish muddle had disappeared. Codfish muddle, how interesting. But on one thing the men agreed. Molly, by golly, put hands and heart to every task, in or out of the kitchen. Well, one wintry day she proved just how wondrous fine she could be. Oh, her excellence does not extend to the kitchen alone, ladies and gentlemen. Oh no. Well, inside the cozy kitchen of Mr. Amar's house, Molly Williams briskly whisked oatmeal, cornmeal, eggs, and buttermilk in an earthenware bowl. Oof! But outside, look at those snowflakes swirling thick as cream. The cream is delicious. This is just really cold. Snowdrifts stood tall as haystacks. Molly stirred glowing embers in the hearth oven and worried. Look at her worried face through the window. Oh, she's got a kitty cat with her. Meow, 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 meow. As the Johnny Cakes baked, a fierce wind knocked at the door. Knock, 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 knock. And whistled through the chinks in the red bricked walls. You know that sound. Molly worried more. Snow covered the neighborhood that morning, and a terrible sickness had spread like a thick blanket over scores of households. Influenza! Many of the volunteer firefighters were already sick. Even Mr. Amar lay abed with it. Even the storyteller has the sniffles. Well, Molly scratched the upturned chin of Eliza, one of her many household cats. Ooh, pretty gray tabby. And she wondered aloud, if a blaze sparks in a blizzard such as this, what will our poor fire lads do? Molly recognized the storm, the sound growing louder above the whine of the snowstorm. Had her worry about fire come true? Church bells! Clang, 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 clang! They sang out fire alarms because back then they didn't have sirens, so the church bells sometimes rang to alarm people about a fire. The number of times they chimed told Molly just where the trouble was. See, because they had a system back then. Something's afire, Eliza, and it's nearby, she exclaimed. Molly wrapped a heavy wooden shawl around her shoulders. Oof, because you know it's cold out there. Oh, look at those delicious looking pies cooling on the windowsill. Well, Maybe she'll get back to those later. Well, she wrapped that woolen shawl around her shoulders and dashed out to spread the news. Molly spied a small knot of neighborhood boys speeding towards her with the lanterns held high. Runners! These boys are also sort of unofficially in charge of letting the whole town know when the fire's happening. Again, we have no actual sirens, so we have church bells and we have runners. Well, Molly, by golly, led them through the snow-filled alleyways and icy cobblestone streets. The runners rattled clackers, clink, 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 and rang muffin bells, ding, 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 ding. Fire! They all cried, come out! Come out! And they're waking up the whole town. Look at that. Everybody's awake. Look, look. Everybody's out in the streets now. Men burst from their homes with bootstraps flapping and coattails flying. Because they're still not even fully dressed. Women and children tossed out leather water buckets. Look at that. They're tossing buckets down because everybody has to go to the river to get water. That's right. We don't have hoses like now and fire hydrants. We're doing this the old way. Molly and the runners scooped up those buckets that people were tossing at them and they raced to the fire company's equipment shed. That's right, and they were made out of leather. How about that? Did you even know they made water buckets out of leather? They used to. Volunteers busily loaded axes, pulled down hooks, and coils of rope into the fire wagon. That's right, no fire truck, a wagon. Check it out. Molly took a quick count. She'd never seen so few men answer a call. That's because everybody's sick, you know. The captain lifted the buckets from her aching arms. Molly, by golly, he said, you're always ready to lend a hand. These hands can do much more than bake Johnny cakes, she thought. She clapped a weathered leather helmet, clunk, on her head, strapped splatterdashes over her woolen leggings. Spatterdashes. Oh, it's galoshes, the old word for galoshes, for rain boots. And she pulled on heavy work gloves. Wait for me, she cried. She is on it. Molly, by golly, exclaimed the surprised captain. He waved over to the line of men struggling to drag the heavy pumper engine into the snowy street. Molly took her place on the rope and gripped it hard. All heave ho, lads and lady, the captain ordered. Get this pumper on its way. 1, 2, 3, pull, they chanted. Molly and the men rolled that pumper engine straight away into the street. Ugh, that is a workout. They dragged it through the swiftly drifting snow. You know how hard it is to drag something through snow? It's as hard as dragging it through mud. Wintry wind whipped at Molly's face and hands, but she never lost her grip. Soon, Molly saw ribbons of soot swirling between the snowflakes. You know what that means. She heard frightened voices floating through the frozen air. Then, there it was, a small wooden house ablaze. Fire! Step lively now! Cried the captain through his tin speaker's trumpet. Right there. You could see that trumpet in his hands. Fire wagon and pumper to the side yard! Volunteer and buckets to the river! Remember all those leather buckets everybody dropped? Everybody's grabbing them and going to the river to fill them up. Close to the snowy bank, the captain chopped holes in the thick ice. Jonas and Isaac dropped buckets into the frigid water flowing below. Wow, they cracked through the ice to get to the water. Molly and the others formed a bucket brigade, passing water hand to hand, filling the tank fast. Start pumping and be quick about it, the captain shouted. Look at that. That's the bucket brigade right there. They're all passing the buckets back and forth to not waste any time, instead of having one person running back and forth. Molly jumped to join the men at the pumper engine sides. They cranked the heavy, long pump handles until the water gushed into a steady stream from the fire hose. Now we have a fire hose filled with water. Thanks to the water that they brought in, here's the family. At least they got out safe. There's the mom holding the baby. There's a little girl. Looks like she's holding a cat. Meow. And the little boy looking forlorn. Ah, that's a fancy word for sad. Hour after hour, Molly sprayed burning timber. Angry flames hissed and spit each time the water hit them. Molly pulled down chunks of wood, of burning roof with a hooked iron rod right there. Look at that. She's pulling down the burning stuff. The flaming shingles melted the snow the moment they hit the ground. Choking smoke crept into Molly's nose. Cinders clung to her wooden shawl. A wave of heat warmed her cheeks. My lads won't let this fire win, and neither will I, she thought. The fire raged and roared with the fury of a wild bobcat until, at last, it was out. Boom. The Van Horn family shivered in the snowy yard. A haze of smoke surrounded them. They were thankful to be alive, glad the fire had not spread throughout the whole neighborhood. Can you imagine that fire could have leapt from one house to the other if they hadn't worked quickly? Bone tired, Molly took her place on the drag rope to pull the pumper back to the shed. Jonas, Isaac, and the other volunteers rushed to her side, broad smiles on their soot-covered faces. "Hooray for our new company volunteer!" they cheered. "Molly, by golly, you're as fine a fire lad as any," added the captain. "In fact, you're wondrous fine." And that was the story of Molly, by golly. Okay, not right now, white rat. But anyway, the author found out about her while she was researching a book and was so fascinated by this first female firefighter in America that she absolutely had to find out more and wanted to write this story so you could know about her, because very few details are actually known about her life. They knew she was living in New York City in the early 1800s, and that Mr. Amar that they mentioned, whose kitchen she was working in, she was a servant of Mr. Amar's, and he was said to be a member of this volunteer fire company number 11. And they think that she always wore a bright blue calico dress and a checkered apron wherever she went. So that's why she was drawn that way. And that was the story of Molly, by golly. And if you get this book for yourself, you're going to find all kinds of additional things. They give you websites. Oh, look at that. A website for a National Junior Firefighter Program. I didn't even know there was such a thing. And stuff about a parent's guide to fire safety for kids, Sparky the Fire Dog. Ooh, Sparky the Fire Dog. That's sparky.org. More firefighter links, places to visit to find out more about firefighting stuff in case you're into firefighting and firefighters and cool heroics like that.
I really like this story. I like it. Can you tell your friend Dianne Ochiltree?
No, it's Ochiltree.
That's exactly what I said. Can you tell her that I really like this book, and can she write another one?
Okay, I'll tell her that you really like the book and that you want her to write another one.
Awesome! It's so cool to have well-connected friends. Okay, the song's over.
Well, I'm still hoping for some cheese tips, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you don't have it like I do.
Yeah, I gotta work on that.
All right, kid. See you next time, and I hope you're inspired to be always heroic and strong and step up to the plate when the going gets tough, just like Molly, by golly. See you next time on Kid Time Story Time. La la la.